There's a book on the table. 14 months of my life. There it is, waiting. My first published work. Like an amputated organ, it seems to me, though not living or dead. It's strange to see it like this. All the terror and agony and confusion, and yes, occasional happiness, absorbed into those pages, and now it has a physical form. And I can look at it, touch it, throw it across the room, jump on it, embrace it, set it on fire, dance with it. It got a bad review, and now I see it differently. Now it's a symbol of failure, of inadequacy, of meaninglessness. But it was supposed to be a triumph. It was supposed to change my life, make me beautiful and valuable and exceptional and desirable. Who's gonna wanna read it now that it's not brilliant? Now that the life inside it has been stomped out? I must find this person, this critic, this saboteur, this beast who has deprived me of everything I've ever wanted, who has deprived me of status and sex and fortune. He's the one who stands in the way of these things, who blocks me, refuses me, returns me to my curses and filth and voicelessness. I must find this person. I must ruin him. I don't know what you call that. I just wrote it this morning. Woke up, hungover, breath smelling of vomit. I just wrote it.
You speak to me like the anguish of a child lost in flames. How you speak to me like the stones that bash in a skull and brains exposed. It's always been the same. 200,000 years of viciousness, the violent art design of our simple and weak, cracked out species. How you speak to me like the rifles that annihilated this race. How you speak to me in a voice so dry and calm and impassive. Yeah, but really, what do you know? You know nothing of the immunosense of empathy, the straight righteousness of abandonment, the dehumanizing press of love.
The thing about Montreal, either you've never heard of us or we're your absolute favorite band.
There's a typical experience of Montreal.
It's not just a concert, like there's like acting, there's like art, it's just like more than you'd expect.
I think people like to come for like the Freak Fest just to see what's gonna happen.
Touring with Montreal was just like touring with just like a family of traveling circus people.
I like that we are some sort of escapist reality for these weird kids who latch onto us as sort of an identity.
There's an emotional element, but it also just musically is really good to dance to and just encourages you to be whatever your fantasy is.
They're brilliant, I love them. All over my face!
It certainly will be the only performance I'm involved with where people are drinking milk on stage.
I guess that's probably the overall theme of our lives, is doing the weirdest shit you could possibly imagine with your friends and family.
Kevin is a weirdo, and it all starts with Kevin.
That is my man! My brother! Your friend! You like him! I love him! Let's all love him right now and welcome to the stage! Kevin Bond! Thank you, Lang. Woo!
I just remember when Kevin Barnes was, known for taking his pants off, Yeah. That's one thing that I heard.
I thought that, like, Kevin Barnes, he was like the kinkiest motherfucker I had ever seen in my life.
Kevin stole a fraternity paddle and made out with a bunch of fraternity dudes after drinking like 2 bottles of champagne one time, I think at Duke.
I think his onstage persona is very much just that. It's a persona. He seemed like a very down-to-earth, normal guy.
I've learned how to cope with things like this cat face. It's not going to produce anxiety, basically is what I'm trying to say. Even though it's got a bullshit face and fucking terrible eyes, and he's wearing a scarf, that cat will do nothing to me because I'm strong, I have strength.
I mean, he's obviously a genius. So if I may use that expression.
Of Montreal is probably one of the most kaleidoscopic bands of our time.
Kevin's very prolific, but he's also all over the place.
Kevin writes songs that break certain rules of musical logic.
Kevin's songs are kind of like a million different little jigsaw puzzle pieces.
The lyrics are so edgy and provocative, and the music was so bouncy. Had this amazing energy, but also, you're talking about taking chemicals.
I think that he addresses this sort of self-deprecating psychosis that I think a lot of people are afraid to address.
People can throw it on at a party and like move to it, but if you listen to it, it's a man like in a dark plea for his own sanity.
People talk about the family aspect of the band. It's very much like a family where there's alcoholism or abuse. There's an image presented to the world, and then behind that there are a lot of contradictions, a lot of cruelties.
I'm a gentle soul. I've never hurt anyone.
Yeah, right.
It was a really nasty situation, and got more so as things progressed.
It's a weird thing to be his friend and collaborator, to very much like the guy who made the records and not necessarily like the guy who's representing the records. That's sort of an ongoing thing, Or not even know the guy anymore,
He was born sucking his thumb. He was very docile and very sweet and very quiet.
But he soon got over that.
Wasn't until he was in nursery school, the first couple of months he was there, the teacher had said he was kind of on the outside looking in. And then all of a sudden, he decided he knew what was going on and how to do it, and he took over the classroom and everybody did what he wanted to do, and it was like a whole different person.
She was really excited to have a son, so I was her special little boy. And then my brother came and ruined everything.
It's not uncommon that I find myself like this.
To be on your neck. I spent all my time alone, playing football by myself or baseball by myself and just creating this fantasy.
He'd be doing the play-by-play, like, Barnes on the 20, the 30, breaks a tackle, but he's just by himself, in the backyard.
Where I was playing every position, and I was the coach, I was the referee, I'd tackle myself and fumble the ball. In a lot of ways, it's very similar to what I do when I'm making music by myself, getting lost in the experience and sort of imagining that there are other people involved. Well, I guess at first I got into music through drums. We had to pick an instrument for the school band, decided I wanted to play drums.
We said, we're not sure you're going to stick with this, so we'll get you a drum. If you still like that drum after you've had that drum for a year, then you can get a drum set next Christmas. Well, he played on that one little snare drum all year long down in the basement. And so the next year he got a drum set.
I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful sight. I couldn't even believe my eyes. It was like just seeing the face of God or something.
In your face.
And then I started getting into guitar a little bit.
Kevin got some poster from like Hit Parade magazine or something, like custom painted guitar that had boobs painted on it. My mom had found it and just like ripped it up into tiny little pieces and like left it on his bed.
Kevin Barnes as the kid.
He started listening to more like the Beatles, just the natural thing when you like get an acoustic guitar.
I would just stay in my bedroom and play the guitar and just practice. And then from there, getting a 4-track and writing my own songs.
We'd have done anything to get him to go to college, but his whole focus was on music. That was like 24/7, that was all he cared about.
It is that classic story that's always nice to hear about someone young deciding, like, I'm not even gonna pay any attention to all of this other stuff. I'm just gonna go for this one thing, even if it takes a super long time.
He was a firm believer in Tom Petty's comment that you only need a fallback position if you're going to fall back.
All right, lay it down, lay it on it. Okay.
I found out about this record label, Barn Nut, and I sent them some demos that I made on my cassette 4-track. And they liked it a lot, and they're like, do you have any more songs? And I was like, oh shit. So I sent them like another 5 or 6 songs, and that's how I got the recording contract.
Kevin left and moved to Athens because it was kind of known as a music town.
When I told Barn Nut, I didn't know anybody that was into this kind of music. They introduced me to Julian Koster. He was also signed to Barn Nut. And yeah, so through Julian, I met Bill Dawes and Will Hard and Jeff Mangum. We're all inspiring each other and working together on each other's tracks. And
everybody was in 4 different bands, and there was a possibility of a great set or a great, lineup any night.
Well, there's a couple shows every week everybody will go to. Olivia Drumming Control, HMO Hotel, Alf Power and the Gerbils, and Summer Hymns and Marshmallow Coast.
It's nice when weirdos can congregate together, and that definitely happened at that time period.
The first time I met Derek was at this party.
I listened to some of the songs. I was playing bass at the time. And he's like, well, can you play drums? And I, barely played drums. But I was like, yeah, I can do it. Next thing you know, we were practicing, and I was in the band.
I met Kevin through a friend of mine, and she's like, oh, I've met this guy. He has a record contract. Somehow we got in touch, and I love Kevin's songs. Every time he would give me a tape, I'd just wear it out, like listening to it while delivering pizza. We really connected because we realized that our voices worked really well together.
Kevin Ryan of Montreal.
It seemed like the band brought about this new kind of energy of like, oh, I have friends to do this with.
I set up a gig where Of Montreal could open for Elf Power at the 40 Watt.
I remember being really, really scared.
I'm very nervous. This is our first show together.
It was really potent and powerful for a 3-piece.
I'm so excited, I just can't wait for you to come.
Garrick and I would come to practice, and Kevin had already written, another song. He'd written a song the day before and the day before that, You'd be like, God, you came up with that in one day?
We bought this big Tascam that's got an 8-track built into it.
And the first couple of records were done on that machine.
And here is the house where we made Cherry Peel.
It was super fun and magical. It felt like we were all part of something that was like really happening.
At the time, back in 1996, I was also playing in Elf Power and enjoyed that. You know, I had a large role of contributing in the creative process of the whole thing. Whereas Kevin's of Montreal, it was mostly Derek and Kevin. I didn't really have anything to do with it. But it got to be a bit much. I'd be worn out. I'd be working, you know, long hours delivering pizza. Then I'd have 2 practices every day. So I kind of had to make a decision. I had to be like, okay, I could stay with El Montreal or I could stay with Elf Power.
I don't think he really wanted to play in 2 different bands.
So I was basically in El Montreal for like a year and a half. Yeah.
I can kind of recall the week I met Kevin.
Hey, James. How's it going?
I'm sending this tape to your mother.
No.
We were hanging out and Jamie was playing us some of his songs.
I remember me and Kevin listened to it, like, yeah, it sounds like Ringo, cool.
You're not filming, are you?
Jamie, you know, was like, oh, cool, I want to be in this band, but you got to take my friend Dottie. It's a package deal.
Dottie was great because I wanted to expand the sound, and finding somebody who could play keys was very important because I couldn't really play piano at all.
I thought it was amazing. They really did. I was a fan, like, from the get-go.
I can't really remember us ever having like a conversation like, okay, we're a band now or anything like that. It was just sort of organically fell into place.
Every band, especially when you're in your early 20s, goes through a phase where you want to live together. And like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna all live in the house. We're gonna play till 3 in the morning. We're gonna record all night.
You know, like got us in the car and he drove us out to this house in the middle of the country. He's like, we could all live here and this could be your room and all this kind of stuff. And he kind of sold us the idea.
That was a good period. It was fun. We'd have these big parties and, you know, you could play music at all hours.
I mean, one of the things I told Kevin when I left, you really need to make this a real band because otherwise people won't want to stick around. And he really did take that to heart. Kevin wrote all the songs, basically, but they would come up with their own parts. They play all the instruments on the records together, and they really did have this vibe.
This is fucking bullshit. Oh my god, he's got the boom. Oh. I can't work with this crap. This is what the fuck is the boom?
David moved in the summer.
Well, I don't know, people. I think we can do a little bit better than that. I'm willing to also include Kevin Barnes and Dottie Alexander for a price of $19.95. Ladies and gentlemen, of Montreal.
We got real lucky in that the first real tour that I ever was a part of was opening for Neutral Milk Hotel. You can imagine that was pretty fun.
She's not quite like the conventional sister, no, she's not. I've never seen her frown or hold her head down. Have never heard her say, I'm going to get away. I tip-top, topping over for my front of none. 'Cause she had so much fun, so much joy, so much wonderful love for everyone. She's not like an ordinary person, no, she's not. She turns lonely.
We spent lots of time in a van together, and real intimacy was formed at that point.
And the tours were grueling, you know, we weren't making any money and sleeping on people's floors and, you know, eating at Taco Bell every day. It's just, you know, pretty rough.
We're gonna get there in 20 goddamn minutes. But your ass!
I was just thrilled to be out on the road and seeing new places.
The streets of LA are paved with crap.
Having a good night. Look at that girl. She's wearing nothing but a bikini. Check her out. Check her out. All right now.
There was jello in the fingerprints, Detective Dolite discovered. This proved to be the most important finding in the case.
You know, 'cause I got really into this vaudevillian thing. Paint my face white and then draw on a mustache. And that was like the big thing for me on the Gay Parade tour.
think like one of the first things I did was just like, there was a thing where I walked up in like a suit and like handed Kevin a telephone. And so we just started adding a couple more little skits and just to like, break up the show.
This eventually became a tiresome activity, so he evaporated into the cream afloat a child's bedtime cocoa.
Well, dudes, the last night of the tour. Dave, how you feel? Your first big trip around the country with a rock band.
Let's just say I smell good, and damn it, I feel good.
I never thought of it as like a career. It just seemed like something that I was doing with my brother for fun.
I thought Kevin was gay. I just lyrically in the songs, he's like, my husband will be so kind. I was like, oh, my husband will be so kind. Oh, wow, I guess he's gay. I don't know. No worries on my part, fine.
He seemed to be kind of more forever bachelor with the music kind of thing. I didn't ever really think he would get together with somebody, honestly.
Did you know anything of Montreal, or did you just...
Yeah. I had like most of their records. They were playing in Oslo, and then they were going to play a festival in Sweden.
And Nina was in the audience, and that's how I met her.
I think all of us have a memory of the first time we even saw her. She was like backlit and had this big crazy hair. No, she was delightful from the beginning.
And I think all of us kind of couldn't believe that Kevin had pulled off meeting this super talented, super interesting, lovely, beautiful young Norwegian.
Was Kevin pretty shy?
Oh, yeah. He was very shy.
You're my muse. You're my Sally Goose. And every day's a dreamy day. I'm daydreaming of you.
It was like one of those like just natural things that had to happen.
I guess I came over and I stayed for the whole 3 months that you could stay with a visa. And we did this tour, me, Kevin, and David.
The Apollinaire Rave Tour was brought to me as Kevin basically saying that he would like to see what it's like out on the road as a solo act. So I'm envisioning him in some kind of beat up 70s like hatchback with a acoustic guitar and, 3-day stubble.
It was supposed to be like a weird production that some high school would pay for.
Oh my God, what are you doing? You just don't get it, do you?
Either like a moral tale or an anti-drug tale or whatever. So that's what we decided. It would be like a scared straight thing. So David would come out with these handcuffs and be like,
"Yeah, I don't want to scare you. We're not murderers or perverts or nothing. We're just peeping toms, that's all."
It was cool to have the opportunity to like make up something new every night. If you got a new idea, just try it out. No pressure, didn't matter.
I think that was like a strong bonding experience for me and Kevin and David, because it was just the three of us in a band, and we had no money. We were so broke.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. We're no longer acting. I'm serious now.
We made one more record as a band with the same lineup.
That record, Ald Hills, which was kind of a disaster in many ways, where Kevin kind of got bullied into losing some control over the production. And I really do think that that changed everything.
There was definitely tension.
Derek just totally took control. It seemed like he kind of just had to kiss his ass all the time and be like, "Oh, it sounds so good, man." If he said anything negative, he would get all uptight. I was like, well, I just don't want to really work like that anymore.
It wasn't pretty. Kevin wanted to move out, and he wanted to move in with Nina. And we were also just like ready to fight. Everybody's, living together for 3 years, so I think we were ready to have a big disagreement. That was probably the main reason why I dropped out of the band.
I couldn't keep coming over for 3 months or whatever. And then he was like, should we just get married then? And I was just like, sure, why not?
Even like right away once we were married and stuff, I was in the studio all the time and sort of leaving her to sort of occupy herself, in her own way. I went right back to work, just because I felt really inspired.
I just remember him being inside his studio for maybe like 14 to 16 hours straight, like recording.
And so I set up all my gear in this little bedroom. And I was doing everything one instrument at a time, even the drums. I couldn't really figure out how to get a good drum sound with a full kit, so I would actually just do one component of the drum kit. So I'd do the snare, the whole song like that, and then I'd do the kick drum, just like the whole song, just the kick drum, and then the hi-hat, just the hi-hat. So that was very time-consuming, but I enjoyed it still because, I was seeing this picture come to life. There's a train track right there. Trains go by probably like maybe 5 or 6 times a day at night. I'd be in the middle of a take and just hear the train coming, be like, oh, fuck.
Up until then, Of Montreal had been kind of a, he wrote all the songs, but it was like a collaboration and everyone had a say.
I don't even think it occurred to me that you could make a record that way at that point.
I wanted to do different things, experiment with dance music, and use drum machines and synthesizers in a way that was kind of taboo, for us in our scene at that time.
Kevin and all the rest of us had this loyalty to the Kinks and Syd Barrett and the Beatles, for God's sake, where we honestly felt anything that was recorded after 1974 or 5 was like totally irrelevant. And it was stupid. We were just ignorant.
And so we had to figure out what we were going to do to take it on the road.
So he asked me, he's like, would you play in the band again? I was like, cool, great.
We didn't have a bass player, and Nina had played bass in this band called the Ethno Babes. And so he's like, okay, Nina, you're going to come and play bass.
I was having troubles with some things, and he would just get like really, really mad. Kevin is not very patient. It's weird when you're married to someone and fighting over a bass line.
Couldn't be happier with how the shows sounded and how everything just worked out.
So Nina, sum up the Old Montreal tour in 3 words.
God damn it!
That's 2 words.
No, god damn it.
Oh, okay.
Halfway through, I started getting sick. Yeah.
When she came and told me, it was like right before a show we were playing. It's like kind of heavy.
We all noticed that she suddenly wasn't drinking or smoking. And so we kind of put it together. Then finally they told us.
Kevin one day came up to me, he's like, Nina's pregnant. I was like, whoa. He's like, are we gonna stop the tour?
It was kind of a scene, actually. People were actually upset.
We started doing a little research, like, oh, deep
bass for extended periods of time could be bad for the fetus, you know, like kind of freaking out about things like that.
He told me in the middle of that tour that he thought it was going to be the last of Montreal tour because he needed to get serious, put on the suit and tie and go get a job, you know?
When you're on the road, you're sort of living in this other dimension. All your focus is centered around putting on a good show and all that. But when you get off the road, then it's like, oh shit, okay, so what are we gonna do?
Your whole life is about to change.
Oh God, what does that mean? You know, what happens now?
I went back to Norway to have her because it's cheaper. And they actually gave us money to have a baby. Imagine that.
What kind of comedy is this? All of the danger you've discovered.
Nina had Alabee, which they would have named if it was a boy or a girl.
We were really not prepared.
Alabee was a crier when she was a baby, doing a lot of crying all the time, not really sleeping, and just kind of making me insane.
And I think he kind of went into a postpartum depression.
I remember just, you know, trying to keep my head together, but if you're really entering into that level of psychosis or whatever, it's not really much of a fix. Started having these terrible panic attacks. They would happen all the time. Just this terrible anxiety all the time.
He was not great. He was having a tough time. You know, everything transitioned so fast.
Struggling with becoming a father and a husband, living in a foreign country, not knowing what to do with himself.
Most of the time I was sort of just hazy, or that sort of like winter light that's not very bright, and staying up late and sleeping in. A lot of times I wouldn't see the sunlight at all for days. Kind of felt like, oh, this should be like a really happy time. Like having a child, it should be really fulfilling and everything, but I couldn't really feel good about it. I couldn't feel at peace. For some reason, I just was tormented. When I was feeling so suicidal, like every day, you know, just to wake up and just be alive, there was no pleasure whatsoever. It was just being haunted by something so evil and with no escape in sight.
I think what kept him sane for that whole period was like making music. And he would just record all the time.
If I wasn't recording, I'd just be going nuts.
It was like a frantic period of creation. And I think like everything that was happening had an effect on Kevin, you know, almost like a desperation.
We had to mount the tour for Sunlandic Twins.
The album did really well. And of course he was gonna tour it. I didn't expect that he wouldn't.
Because the band was basically just dead, and then Sunlandic Twins was like, rising a bit out of the ashes.
Let's have bizarre celebrations. Let's forget who forget, why forget where.
We were in a spot where we needed somebody new, and I knew this guy, Matt Dawson, from high school.
I remember talking to him at the 40 Watt and saying, hey, would you be interested in playing bass?
So Brian said, yeah, you know, his wife's been playing bass, but she can't do the tour, and we need somebody who can leave and go on the road in a hurry. And I thought, you know, perfect, great.
Let's forget when forget what forget how. We have bizarre celebrations. We'll play Tristan and Isolde, but make sure
This is gonna be awesome. This is an auspicious beginning, everyone.
You ready to go on tour?
This is it.
And that was like when we first started getting more into glam.
Kevin was leaving to do costume changes, and that was like
the first real sign that they were going to start upping the ante.
Kind of wearing more outrageous clothes and sort of androgynous styles, and influenced by the New York Dolls, wearing like mini skirts and go-go boots. And sometimes I just want to escape, and I still want some antioxidants.
I walked in as the band was blowing up.
There was this marked change, like people were coming to the shows like more and more, like every day.
And just being like just shocked that things were actually moving forward and people seemed to be responding. That record, Sunlandic Twins, is very buoyant and very happy sounding, dancey, and so it was great, to escape from the harsh realities of adult responsibilities and basically just, go crazy and just party every night.
That period where Kevin was kind of losing his mind, and that affected all of us.
My career was doing better than ever, but my personal life, was shit. I'd go on tour and then, just be stuck in this apartment with a crying baby.
I don't think he was ready to deal with that.
Eventually, Nina and I split up.
And suddenly I was on a plane back to Norway with a little baby in my hands and having nothing, absolutely nothing.
So I had a difficult time, and it sort of pushed me into this chemical depression period that I had never confronted before, anything like that before. And, eventually it ended up with splitting up, and she went back to Norway. And that's why you get the song "The Past is a Grotesque Animal" that's on Hissing Fauna. It's like inspired by that, like what the hell is going on? What happened to my life? What happened to my relationship? And, it was just craziness. It was obviously a really terrible thing on a certain level for her to have to like be thrown to the lions in that way. Like, okay, you have to take care of Alabee all by yourself. You have to go back to Norway and figure out what you're gonna do because I can't really help you. I just needed to be really self-centered for a period of time to sort of get my head together again.
I'm in a crisis. I need help. Come on, mood shift, shift back to good again. Come on, mood shift, shift back to good again. Come on, be a friend. Come on, be a friend.
I tried different kinds of medication. At first it didn't really work, but then I got on this antidepressant and anti-anxiety medicine. So that really helped me actually. You know, once I found the right combination of medicine. After a couple months of being apart, I flew out to Oslo after one of the tours and hung out with Nina and Alabee. And I just missed them so much, and I missed being a father, and I loved Alabee so much. I had this really strong desire to be with her all the time, and I didn't want to be the kind of dad that's not around.
And then he asked me to come back home.
And sort of convinced Nina to come back to the U.S. and make whatever changes we could to make it work out.
Yay!
When Nina and Alabee left, I mean, I was still touring, but in between tours, I was working on Hissing Fauna, which I started when I was in Oslo on a laptop, and when I came back, you know, basically just finished it up in that attic.
Unlike the previous two records, we were a little bit more unsure of how the record would come out. And there's obviously so much going on in Kevin's personal life that the process of making that record was vastly different than anyone before it.
The Hissing Fauna was the first record that was sort of completely conceived and finished by Kevin and then presented to us. And that is a weird feeling. So for all of us, it was like, here's your new record that's gonna be your performing life for the next couple of years. Here it is, and you just hear it for the first time, like, okay, wow.
Kevin wanted me to listen to the album. I hadn't heard any of the songs. I knew to some degree that that would be like, you know, a focus of the album would be like our breakup.
But, you know, like Nina is an artist. She understands where art has to come from, and sometimes it's not pretty.
And then I remember him coming out, just like, what do you think? And I was like, oh God, that hurts. You know, that hurts like hell, but oh my God, it's so good.
Protect myself. There's a girl that left me bitter. Wanna pay some other girl to just walk up to her and hit her. But I can't.
If anything, timeline-wise, I'd say on these first like 4 or 5 records, total fantasy, total fiction, not really living life, but like creating characters and making his own little world. It was kind of when he met Nina, I would imagine, that it became like a real life. So he stopped writing fiction and started writing like this, where it became like hyper confessional. Like these two in particular are like the therapy records. I'll tell you every dark secret of my real life.
Well, dark and confessional, you know, those were things that hadn't been really Kevin's thing before. It really resonated with people.
Yeah, I mean, I love that album. I listened to it a ton when it came out. I was still in college, and I just would drive around blasting it in my truck.
We felt like from the very beginning that Hissing Fauna was going to be the kind of record that people talked about.
My next guests are here with a song from their album, Hissing Fauna, Are You the Destroyer?
Please welcome Of Montreal.
I'm in a crisis. I need help. Come on, mood shift back to good again. Come on, mood shift back to good again. Come on, be a friend.
When the record kind of took off and everything, and it was like an endless, endless articles about our breakup. I stopped reading everything because it just made me sort of uneasy. Because the truth lays somewhere in between his and my perception of what happened.
Like once I got on the medication and once I started like becoming healthier in a way, somehow this other thing sort of became unlocked, and I just became like way more sexual.
Chemicals don't light in my mind. Chemicals don't mess me up this time. No, you paid me way more than you should. And it's just like you to hurt me when I'm feeling good.
Maybe all those years of celibacy, I don't know, sort of breaking free from that or something.
I was just always amazed that Kevin just will just completely get into a whole persona or just a whole style and really go for it.
For the longest time, it felt like we were a band. And then it seemed to be, for whatever reason, in the bass department, the most rollover of positions.
When I first came into the band, I think like a lot of people, there was this kind of honeymoon period.
Early on, it was great, and we had so much fun together. But I don't know what it is about bands, like when you get a bunch of people together for a long period of time and you're living in close quarters, it becomes almost like a Lord of the Flies situation.
Waiting hours and hours for practices that he just never shows up for, doesn't apologize, tours getting canceled at the last minute.
And I don't know how much of it was his own doing, of him becoming kind of paranoid and just sort of strange.
I always felt like I had to be on guard and kind of looking over my shoulder. Better not to say something than say the wrong thing. The camera comes on, I have nothing to say. Fun's over.
Somehow we just sort of reached this point where we couldn't really deal with each other anymore.
He could be very mean, and he could be cruel, and seemed to enjoy being cruel.
Things got kind of ugly.
And then he publicly stated that he fired me, which I thought was maybe disingenuous considering how hard I tried to leave the band in okay shape.
What you doing in there, Dave?
Davey, he came and sold merch on a tour. He would also tech at the time, he would come help set up stuff.
He'd be doing sound check and he'd know the bass line perfectly.
They were a little bit, well, who the hell is this guy and what the fuck is he doing in our bus kind of thing, but they got over it pretty quick.
I have to say the Skeletal Lamping tour preparation was, to this day, the most ambitious thing that the band has ever done.
We're in Bogart, Georgia right now. We've rented this place out for a week so we could have dress rehearsals here.
Sweet.
Dave told me he wanted me to build torture racks. That's my approximation of what the expression will be on Dave's face.
Ah!
Yeah, there you go.
This song is so long, and then it goes into "You are such a fucking star."
Oh, yes, we have all of that to get ready. Okay.
So maybe when it goes.
And Michael can get this chorus ready so you can just hop into it.
Yeah.
When we get on stage, we want it to transform.
I wanna be your love, I wanna make you cry and sweep you off your...
No restrictions, you know, they shouldn't think like, oh, we can't do this because that would cost too much money.
If you have an idea, let's explore that idea. Anything goes.
We've decided to get like way more performers, making bigger props, getting more costumes, and actually making it a centerpiece of the live show. All the performers are just people that we're friends with that had the time to go on tour, you know, but none of them had like real training and theatrics or anything like that.
David has his own language. For instance, like we're doing tits, pig head, horse, raffle. He's just like throwing these words out that you know what he means in his mind.
I just hit my head so fucking hard.
It was like a dream for him to have so many people who could do the things that he wanted.
What I'm probably most excited about is the suicide room where I'm gonna like kill myself in like a couple different ways, and then the big climax is when I hang myself. So hopefully it's gonna work.
Promise me though that before this is secured in some way before you try it. And let's make sure that happens before this thing goes around.
Well, I mean,
freaky things can happen. And
hey, it's gonna sell more records.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kev.
Do you want to come on the bus? Come on.
About 52 minutes before we're on, and I haven't even eaten, bathed, or decided what I'm going to wear. It almost did perfectly today.
Oh shit. Mom, I'm sorry.
One, two, three. Lakefront property!
This is the first show for our new tour, for our new album. It was not like just going on tour. Like, we are going to give you a show.
I think we always have a really strong love for the absurd and weird comedy. So that's always like at our core, I think, is that like we can't really take ourselves that seriously.
Oversized set of roller skates.
The huge arms.
Old West barroom scene.
Like a centaur costume.
Incredible Hulk gloves.
Beach volleyball scene.
I think our budget for shaving cream was around $2,000.
There's a Prince album. He's naked, riding a horse. And it's kind of like something, it's been a dream ever since, you know.
Friend of a friend asked if we could get Susan Sarandon on the guest list. What did we do with Susan Sarandon?
The first time that I met the band, I actually was kind of a teacher, and I had a ruler, and I sat on Kevin and spanked a man in a naked pig costume.
I think I've seen around 8 or 9 shows at this point. It doesn't matter how many times I see them live. I am so emotionally and mentally and physically involved in the live show.
I just enjoy them and try to suspend my head and just get into the visual and have fun.
You know, there is something about watching people go from like crossed arms to like...
What'd you think, Janelle?
What? I don't have any words. I don't want to diminish what I had just seen. This is my favorite band. I just have to say it's my favorite band.
I'm so bummed out by your paradigm kisses, how I acted.
And it turned out to be like just a fantastic happening every night. You just like, oh my God.
I'm cracking my sweetheart. I'm cracking my sweetheart. I'm cracking my sweetheart.
When we pulled it off pretty close to what it was going to be that first night, that was the first moment where I was like, holy crap, I can't believe we actually did that.
Fucking dirty, man. Fucking on time. No, it was great.
How was it? How was it?
Fucking awesome, man.
Fun as hell.
We did it. We did the best that we could do. That's all that really matters.
Can you handle that towel? Thank you.
By the end of the tour, I was definitely exhausted. Everybody was exhausted. Didn't even want to think about it for a while, but now, when I think about it now, it's like one of the highlights of my life and career in music.
You're just in this family, and that's your whole existence. You live together, use each other's makeup, and if you don't have toothpaste, someone's gonna loan it to you. And then you realize that there's the only people that you interact with, and that becomes your whole world. And it's very, very powerful. If you focus that for good, you can create like the best shit ever, which we did. I really, really think we did. I think we accomplished that in Skeletal Lamping. That was the best, amazing thing that we've done with a group of friends.
There's really no one out here on the road that doesn't go back 15 years with somebody else that's in this band or crew. And that's kind of a nice feeling, to be honest.
I mean, they're family at this point. All of those guys are so close.
Kevin is my brother, Dottie's my sister, Brian's the weird cousin. It's really easy to be super involved in it and super emotionally attached to what's going on without ever feeling like you're just like a hired gun.
I don't think you'll ever find a band like these guys are. I feel like all of them are like family to me. They're great kids.
Kind of a bad person in the way because I'm not really sentimental or nostalgic. It's hard for me to appreciate these kind of beautiful aspects of the group.
Someday one of these is gonna say off Montreal.
I think we need to let him totally rage when those fills happen, mute him completely, and turn the fills up twice as loud as you have them. Don't try to blend them in so they sound part of the natural drums. The louder and funnier they are, the fucking better. Just
Somehow we started talking about possibly working together. I started sending him the songs I've been writing for False Priest, the versions that I was basically ready to sign off on as finished recordings for the new album. He'd listen to them and say, I think that I could improve the fidelity of these songs.
So, we're starting with augmentation and expanding, and then the happy accidents are going to happen here from that process that are going to cause other things to happen. So we don't know. We can just see it's going in a nice direction. As long as it gets better. When it starts getting worse, we'll stop.
Because we're trying to make a very trunk-rattling record. It was the first time I ever had featured artists. Getting Janelle Monáe to sing on a couple songs and Solange to sing on Sex Karma.
It really was just about making good music, and he was a phenomenal artist that I completely respected and felt a connection to. That was as simple as that for me.
Thank you, my friend. Check out the album False Priest. It's a cloud.
It's like classic sibling rivalry sometimes with me and Kevin. Deep personal experiences shared, but just like absolutely driving each other insane sometimes, you know? I think that a lot of times friendships or relationships, you're lucky if you last 5 to 10 years. And Kevin and I just kind of like got to the end of each other's ropes.
I don't want to talk trash about a friend, but he was just like becoming increasingly moodier and moodier and fighting with people and just being a really, really negative presence. All along, I always sort of felt like I'd apologize for being captain of the ship because he wanted to be the captain of the ship, or he wanted to at least be co-captain of the ship, but you know, it doesn't work that way.
There came a time after doing it for so long that I just felt like I wanted to approach it differently, and I got really frustrated, and I said as much to Kevin, like, hey, if this is the way the band is going, and this is the way you have to have it, then I don't want to do it. And he very simply responded, well, then don't do it.
Reached that point where I was like, I just couldn't really deal with him anymore. And so I was just like, you're done, you're fired.
You stole something from me, can't say what.
I got used to the idea of people coming and going. I just never thought I would be one of them. And here we are, so.
Yeah, so the False Priest tour, we added Thayer and Alabee and Kay and Clayton.
I just wanted us to be a great band. You know, I was listening to Sly and the Family Stone a lot and listening to Stevie Wonder, and the thing that makes those artists special is not just the singer, it's not just Sly, it's not just Stevie. It's the band, it's the people that are playing with him and the magic that they create together. And so I wanted to sort of put something like that together for myself.
Just all of a sudden, you know, this new life was sort of breathed into the project and felt exciting again.
Satanic ornaments that crumble our faith. Rebirth, suicide.
For me, it was like suddenly we have all these new members, and it was like, okay, we can just bring people in and out at will. This phase of the story is like I'm playing in Kevin's band.
Okay, my name is Kevin Barnes. I am the lead singer and songwriter and producer and engineer and manager.
I kind of realized it in a way that I was just a sideman.
Can't feel my grief, can't feel my pain. Oh.
I want to give myself to this like fully and completely because it just feels it feels good.
All my sorrows soon forgotten.
It feels really good to be a part of it and to be a part of those people.
Hey, this is Kevin.
And
Rebecca from Montreal. First things first, you know, she has to prove that she's not as dangerous as she seems, because I have a sense that she's Saboteur, sent from another band, like perhaps Yay Sayer or Arcade Fire, sent her to destroy us.
That is really weird, being so young and doing such amazing things. Kind of bizarre, and for some people it might seem bogus because they're like, what has she done to deserve this?
Something to be
I guess it's not really about deserving anything.
Mascot. Hopefully. Is JoJo still up on? It's all about the new, not looking back, really.
Felt like there's maybe too much baggage attached to Montreal.
You know, it felt like maybe the end of some period of my life. And so then there was this period after that where I was trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do then? What's next? Because this is the only thing that I really want to do is make music.
For the new record that Kevin's working on now, he actually wants to have like a writing retreat in San Francisco and kind of have a different set of surroundings to hopefully have something different come out.
So this is the place that I'm hanging out in for a couple weeks working on some new material. And then that's when like the whole folk Americana spirit sort of came into my life. So bands like Fairport Convention, I'd heard about, but never really listened to. I had this thing in my mind, like, okay, I'm gonna start listening to that. I listened to a lot of Bob Dylan, and I know that they did a lot of like stuff, 1 take or 2 takes. The atmosphere wouldn't have been created in the same way if it was just Bob Dylan. That's why, on a certain level, I want to start working with other people more.
Got an email saying, I've got a band together, I want to go in the studio, record all the tape, no computers.
Yeah, it came together really quickly. It's me and Kevin, Rebecca, Cash, and JoJo. This guy Bennett Dean and Bob Perrins. I definitely felt, you know, like honored to get to do some recording with Kevin just because, yeah, he has been working alone for so long.
Just the combination of us together in that room is just the most wonderful recording experience I've ever had. With Lousy, with Sylvie and Breyer, this is what I want. This is what I want to hear. This record doesn't exist. No one else has made it. I'm the only one who can make it, I guess. So I'm going to make it, and I'm going to call it Montreal because that's me.
How long can it possibly take for one to realize the dream is over?
And when I decided to release it as a Montreal, I had to explain to Brian and Davey and Dottie and Dobby, you know, with these songs and the way it was recorded, we kind of need the personnel from the album to really pull it off live. And so, yeah, we will have a different group.
I mean, I think things probably have been stale for a long time, and only out of loyalty did he keep playing with us.
It was probably amazing to bring in new blood and have that feeling, you know, of creative excitement.
The pollution from your
I think that I almost always would choose art over human relationships, which, you know, might be a terrible thing to say or to admit, but I think it's true if I'm being true to myself. I always do whatever I want to do, and I don't think about like how is this going to affect other people who listen to my music, or how is it going to affect my legacy, or blah blah blah. I don't give a shit. I just want to do what's exciting at the time, you know, whatever I feel enthusiastic about.
I don't think this is the first time he's sort of changed his band around. It's still Kevin. It's still Kevin playing his music. You've got new players who are definitely influencing that. I mean, you can hear different stuff on this album that I can only imagine is partly because of who he's surrounded himself with.
It was sad in the sense that I don't get to see my friends as much as I was used to. But we're not touring Friendship, the act.
The thing that bugs me the most about this is the chopping off of limbs. It's like he just vilifies the past. Full negation of the past is unhealthy because we've had this amazing ride.
I could see why someone would say it's kind of a sickness to not care about these people that were important to you at one point in time. And not to say I don't care about them, but I don't care about them enough to sacrifice what I hope to accomplish in life.
When it's your thing, it's just everybody should do what you say. They should do it the way that you want to, because that's it, and that's what they're there for.
You know, on the one hand, you can say Kevin Barnes writes and records these albums under the name of Montreal, but the total other side of the coin is that Kevin Barnes writes these songs for this band called Of Montreal that includes dozens of people working to create this like majorly collaborative, crazy live performance that's kind of infamous around the globe. And maybe that's kind of the story of this band.
1, 2, 3, go!
Do you want to interview Alabee? All right, Alabee, it's your turn. No, you're scared? All right, I'm gonna ask you a question.
What?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Complicated.
It won't be.
Director.
Who are your favorite directors?
Well,
Or name one of your favorite directors.
Wes Anderson.
You would think that this mad desire to compose and to produce and to share would help you, but it seems like on certain levels it can actually hurt you. You just seem too common or something, like you've made so many things that nobody can care anymore. They're like rocks. Why do you always want to throw ice at me? You just throw like regular stuff. I think about that just because I've made so many albums. Some people can accomplish much more with much less. But at the same time, if you're compelled to do it and you just have to keep doing it, and it doesn't matter if you're destroying your legacy or whatever, you still have to do it. Because it's some insane compulsion that you can't resist or deny. It doesn't hurt anybody, really, except for people close to you.
Tonight I feel like I should just destroy myself. Tonight I feel like I should just explode myself. Tonight I feel like I should just destroy myself. Tonight I feel like I should just explode myself. There's someone calling my name, but there's nothing to respond. I lost so much in our collapse. Man, one little hope is gone. The voice said, don't worry, friend. The darkness is just a suggestion. Oh, don't worry, kid. The darkness is just a suggestion. Oh, don't worry, Kevin. Tonight I feel like I should just destroy myself. Tonight I feel like I should just explode myself. Something's terrorized my psyche to get eaten. Lately you're the only human I believe